Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Courtney Grayton. I'm a Loctician, natural hair stylist, and educator. Over here on my side of YouTube, you will find expert information on caring for your locks and other creative, lifestyle, 30-something-year-old type content. Okay, so check out my channel for other things that you might be interested in. And definitely subscribe so you can get this new content that I'm bringing very soon that I'm so excited about. And as you can tell by the title of the video, we're going to be talking about coloring your locks. This video is highly requested, and I really haven't put it out because I felt like I needed to do a lot more research. But to be honest, I do have a lot of information about coloring. I don't actually color locks. I pretty much colored my own hair and my nephew's hair. But I definitely have so much experience with the effects of color. When you're thinking about color, the things to consider and all of that. So I'm going to be giving you just a rundown of what I know about coloring and what I've seen in my experience, especially having bleached my hair before I got locks and just having so many clients with locks that have been colored. So y'all know I know what I be talking about. Yeah, so bleach inherently is damaging to your locks and to your hair in general. There is no amount of bleach, type of bleach, or anything that's going to not damage your hair at all. So that's just one thing to kind of get through your mind. There are so many different myths online, but if you are lightening your hair from black or dark color and making it lighter, you are bleaching it and you are damaging it because you have to rip the color off of the hair. So just keep that in mind. That's the first thing I always say. It's absolutely going to damage your hair. Now, there are definitely things to consider, like how light you go. And I usually try to tell people, like, if you have a color in your mind, think of the darkest version of that color that you would be willing to go to, just to test it out, just to see how your hair reacts. So if you are thinking about like a red, let's try a burgundy first. If you are thinking about honey blonde, let's maybe try like a brown, you know? Let's try that first to see how your hair reacts. Then, you know, a lot of people, even after that first color session, will probably be like, you know what, we can stay here, or I'm not doing this again. It just kind of gives you an opportunity to try something out before doing a drastic full color root to tip, you know what I mean? So that's one thing that I would consider. And then also a smaller patch, maybe whether it's this, maybe it's one lock, maybe it's a few in the back, or a few on the right. There's so many different variations that you can try, but I would recommend doing it on a smaller scale with a darker color first. I know I'm giving this information with a blonde patch in front of my head, but I want you to remember that I didn't actually color my locks after I had them, and I don't plan on coloring them again. Also, you have two options: to either do the color before you even get started so that your texture is already relaxed and your loctician or whoever can kind of like start your locks with this new texture in mind, or you can wait, start your locks with the color that you already have, and then wait at least 6 months or more, honestly, before you actually do the color. And I've noticed that a lot of my clients who come in to the consultation, they see all the colors online. They see all the beautiful pictures of all the bright colors online. Like, oh, I know for sure I'm going to get my locks and I'm going to color them. So many of those same clients get 6 months in, 7 months, 8 months, a year in, and they love their locks so much that they have no intentions on coloring them or doing anything that could risk messing them up. If you're someone who knows for a fact that you want to color them, and I'm talking specifically about bleach, then either do it beforehand or wait a little bit. I do also recommend going to a professional, somebody who specializes in color. There are a lot of professionals, but not all of them specialize in color. I definitely don't, which is why I do not offer it. I would recommend going to a professional, someone who used the professional color, not the box dye. Even though I've seen a lot of my clients use the box dye and they're successful with it. Another thing to keep in mind is that your level of maintenance will definitely increase. So a lot of people get locks with the mindset that I'm getting something that's going to require a lot less maintenance from me. But the moment you decide that you want to bleach your hair, that's going to cause for more frequent moisturization, more frequent treatments. You're damaging your hair. You are changing the porosity of your hair, making it more of a higher porosity, which means that It will accept that moisture, but it will get drier just as quickly. I always talk about dryness on our channel, but even more with color treated hair, having it get dry is a recipe for disaster. You will have a lot of shedding, you will have a lot of breakage, and no one wants their locks to break, okay? You will need protein treatments, you will need deep conditioning, you will need steam, you will need all those things to make sure you are hydrating your hair properly. I'm always touching my hair, and I always notice that this area is drier than the rest of my head. So it takes a lot more spraying it with, you know, like leave-in conditioners and things like that, just to make sure that it's a little bit more hydrated than the rest of my hair and that it doesn't break off. Thankfully, it hasn't broken off. Another thing to consider, say for instance, I had bleached my entire head. All of my locks where this 2 inches or so is bleached, the ends would be skinnier than the root. I notice this every single time, especially for my clients who wait, you know, years in between, and so now they have like a lot of black and then some blonde or honey blonde or whatever the case at the end. The locks at the root are much thicker than the ends of the locks. Sometimes there's not a huge drastic difference, but a lot of times it is. Keep that in mind when you're talking about the look of your locks, how you want them to be. If you are someone who is very particular about, you know, a more uniform look from root to tip. As far as like gray coverage and things like that, kind of like rinses, semi-permanent types of things where you are not lifting your hair but just covering it. Some of those chemicals can also dry your hair out, but I don't see in my experience to where those chemicals are like so damaging that they're now causing breakage and things like that. And I would still recommend going to a professional, but that's something that I typically recommend more, you know, that my clients can do it at home. Putting a rinse on your hair, you know, is usually not a hard thing to do. You can just kind of like put it where it needs to be and then rinse it out. Another thing, and I might be all over the place, forgive me if I am, but another thing to keep in mind is if you are going to color your hair and specifically bleach it, don't be the person that once you bleach your hair, once those black roots start growing in, you already like, oh, I need to get it touched up. If that is you with your loose hair, it can't be you with your locks if you want healthy locks, okay? That's when you really start to get like the most breakage and the locks just falling off the bone. Even if you're not even trying to touch the ends, there's going to be some overlap. If I were to go in right here and be like, oh, I want to touch it up, there's going to be some overlap where I will touch hair that's already been bleached. And where that overlap happens is where that weakness point begins. And you'll start to have your locks just kind of like hanging on right here. So go ahead and just decide that you're going to wait. You're going to make sure that you are hydrating your hair in between. You are doing the proper treatments. And then when you know that your hair is at a great space, 4 or 5 inches have grown out, then you can go ahead and decide to retouch up the roots. A lot of times people just decide, you know what, like I actually don't want to do this again. I actually don't want all this maintenance and upkeep. When you automatically commit in your mind that you're going to keep this blonde up, you're going to keep this red up or whatever, like over and over and over, that's when you set your locks up for failure. It happens all the time. I've seen people lose entire locks. Another thing to keep in mind is that you will have shedding, you will have breakage. All of my years of doing locks, I have yet to see a head of hair that has been colored that has not had some form of breakage. When I had first started my locks and my blonde was closer to the root, I definitely had breakage, little small pieces. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in my install video, that I had little short pieces where the blonde had broken, because that's just what it does. So imagine I go in and I'm here at my root ripping it up. Absolutely not. Not for me. Not for me. Not for me. But do what you want. Y'all know I'm gonna just give you the real, and I'm gonna give you exactly how it is. And then you decide what you want to do from here on out. There's a whole lot to consider, a whole lot at stake. I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm coming from a very experienced place. That's my rundown. I hope it all makes sense. Definitely leave comments below, or questions, or, you know, concerns below. Leave a little comment below if you've ever used henna on your locks. I have never used it on my hair at all. So I really don't know much about it, but I do know that it is an option for people. Yeah, I'm just curious to know a little bit more about it, especially if any of you have already tried it. Otherwise, I hope this video was helpful. Definitely let me know below if you have any other questions or suggestions for other videos, and I will see you all in my next video. Thank you, and bye. Green tea is always going to be